Greetings everyone, welcome to Just Advance. This game is absolutely spectacular. With the white pieces, we have the current reigning world champion. We have Gokesh Tomaraju. With the black pieces, we have also another world champion and the magician of India. We have the absolutely tactical hawk. We have Divya Deshmukh, and this is going to be an incredible matchup here with the white pieces. Gokesh starts with e4. We have c5, knight to f3, knight to c6. We have the old Sicilian variation, and now immediately just jumping in with bishop to b5. We have the Nejmedin of Rosolimo attack. This game is going to be absolutely spectacular. Here, just e5 now going for the main line. We have castles, and normal move in this position is just bishop to d6. And let's say you play a move like c3, but after knight g to e7, you play d4, and after e captures everything, you just trade off. And after that, you might seem like there is some pressure, but just queen comes in, and there is nothing. Next move, your castle. Your position is absolutely fine. There is no reason to worry about in this position. But after castles, we have bishop to e7, definitely trying to throw Gokesh off his preparation. There has been not a lot of games in the database, only 32 games in the database has been found, and this is going to be a very exciting game. Here, rook to e1 was played by Gokesh. Now just comes knight to d4, going for the main line, bishop to c4, and just knight caps on f3. Queen captures, knight to f6, and just t3, and now just comes castles, knight to c3, and just t6. So a very incredible structure in this, and mostly, I mean, you want this kind of structure where you want to hold the world champion to maybe a draw, or if you want to be able to push for a win. By the way, this is the Nejmedinov attack, insanely good for actually trying to go for a win. And yeah, you will see that here. Just a4, now just comes bishop to e6, h3, and queen to d7. Now just a5, pushing the pawn all the way, rook a to d8, and finally this bishop to d2. h6 now, not allowing any bishop jumps in the future, and here just queen to e2, with the idea that now you want to push f4 in this position. Although the engine doesn't like f4 in this position, but how do you even do anything in this position? Yes, you can play a6, but a6 after this, the structure completely closes and you don't have anything. Where do you even find a breakthrough in this? Even if you trade, I mean, you don't find anything. Even queen captures is an option. I don't have to worry about it. If you give me, if you give me f file open, you know that Divya always loves to attack. You give me f file open, you give me d5, your position is absolutely crumbling and you can do nothing about that then. And Divya would definitely try to push for a win in this. So here, just knight to e8, trying to go for f5 herself, and you can see that how aggressive of a play aggressive a player she is, that in this position even she's not that good, because you have to understand the white pieces are very active, and hey, your pieces are all clammed up, and it's not a bad position or anything, but it's still the something what you want to achieve with the white pieces has been achieved, and you want to now push for, and you want to press here in this position basically. So definitely, but even then she's trying to go for counter activity with the move like f5. That's absolutely spectacular. That shows pure class. Here just f4 by Gokesh, but now just comes e captures. But Divya would be very happy with the move like f4, simply because of the fact that now pieces are not going to be clamped up. She's going to have much more open space for her pieces, and that's what she requires. And here just going for bishop captures now, bishop to f6, but now just comes this very nice e5, but just e captures, bishop captures. And what do you even play in this position? The problem is that you would want to keep the bishop here to try and push for in this position. That's why if you trade everything, the engine doesn't like it. That's why he suggests that just go for bishop to h4, attack the rook. And even if you go for a move like g3 in this position, which is not a good move, because you have to understand you're just weakening your king side. And here after bishop back to e7 all the way, now you push h4, but still you weaken your king side a bit too much. Your king is very unsafe. If everything is traded off, queens are traded off, you understand your king side is going to be very, very weak, and you don't want that to happen right from move 20. So here after bishop captures was played by Divya. She does not find this crazy engine line. I mean, this was a crazy engine line, no one finds this here. But after bishop captures on e5, we have queen captures, but just queen to d4. Now she simply goes and trades the queens, queen captures, c captures, and a very nice move, knight to e4. So Gokesh is heading in the right direction, because you have to understand that a move like a6, and if you go for a move like b6, your e7 pawn becomes weak. All I have to do is maybe just get the knight into the game. Even in some lines, just sacrifice the knight, and that passed pawn will be a bit too strong, and you have to be very careful about such tactics. Here bishop to d5 was played, but now just comes a6 and immediately b6 by Divya. And what do you even do in this position? To carry out your advantage and still try to press in this position, you want to be able to play this knight to g3. And this is a very important move, because now once you go for bishop captures, d captures, you can see with the engine evaluation that white has not lost its advantage. The trouble is that you want to be able to get your rook there to try and target the pawn, but now just comes rook to d7, and you're not going to be able to do that now. But the thing is that you can get the knight into the game, and you can just still put some pressure, and that's exactly why engine likes white a little bit better. I mean, it's not a lot of advantage, but just a little bit of advantage where you can try and press with the white pieces. But till now, till move 23, Divya has been playing spectacular moves. This is the best move recommended by the engine. and you can see that she's very careful not try to make any mistakes in this position. So here after knight to d2 was played, knight to d2 is not a good move in this position. That's simply because you just lose your advantage with the white pieces. But now Divya finds the correct idea. She goes for bishop captures on c4, knight captures, and now just rook to d7, not allowing that rook to jump in. And this is definitely the right approach, and now the position has become equalized, completely equalized. And here knight to e5, and now just this rook to d6, knight to c4, rook to d7. You could go for a draw in this position, but I don't think so. With all these pieces and still so much life in the game, you would want to do that. So hey, just king to f2 was played by Kokesh, but just comes knight to c7, rook to e5, and just rook to c8. And now just comes this king to e2, finally b5 here in this position. b5 is a very nice inclusion because now you want to be able to kick that knight away. So knight goes all the way to a3, but now Divya has a very nice boom in this position, and she finds it, and she might just be able to press here in this position. She goes for this rook to d6, going after this very nice a6 pawn, and there's not much you can do in this position. Here king to d2 was played. I mean, you have to understand that your king was very badly placed there, and there is not much you can do about that pawn. Yes, you can capture that, but you can capture that not right now. You can capture it later. So here just rook caps on a6 was played, rook to f1 with the idea of getting the rooks very, very active. And if you're able to get that rook in, it's going to be absolutely spectacular. But in this position here, if you want to be able to press in this position, you have to find this move. The move is this very nice rook to g6. And rook to g6, what it does is basically it threatens the g pawn, and it does more than that, because now if you go for a move like g4, which has been strengthened, I'm defending all these knights, and the problem for you is, let's say you play a few more moves, rook to e7, rook to f6, rook captures, g captures. There's only 2 pawns, and I have 3 pawns here, and I will be able to stop those 2 pawns. But you have to understand, with these 2 pawns and this structure, yes, I might be able to lose that pawn, but your knight is out of the game. My knight is very much in the game, and yes, I'm going to be loving my position here. But you could go very, very wrong in this position. If you are wondering that it's an easy position, it's only because I'm explaining it to you, and you can see the engine evaluation. Let's say you try to go for a weird move. Let's say you go for knight captures on b5. Seems like a reasonable move. You want to be able to capture that, but now just comes knight captures and just rook captures, but now just comes rook captures, and that would be a terrible, terrible blunder in this position, and you would be basically completely losing from here onwards. And but nothing here happened. After rook to f1, b4 was played, and b4 is you can say that this is a natural move that you want to, that just comes naturally to you. But the problem is, you've given the c4 square now, and what are you going to do? Because now Gukesh immediately gets knight into the game. He plays knight to c4, but just rook to e8, and now rook captures, knight captures. And in this position, what do you even do here? Rook to f4 was played, trying to go after the pawns, but you have to be very, very careful. If these 2 pawns fall, there's going to be 3 against none, and that's going to be a really, really huge problem. So here rook to f6 was played, immediately asking for a rook trade, but the idea is not just for a rook trade in this position. Here just rook captures on d4, but now comes this very nice rook to f2, and the thing is, you have to move your king. So here king to e3, but just rook captures on g2. They were saying, well, thank you for this pawn, I'll be capturing that next. Here just rook to d8, and it's very difficult to press for anything in this position. Let's say I just bring the king here. That's exactly what's played in this game. That's the only move. But now you cannot even go for a move like knight to d6, because the trouble is, just this comes, and yeah, this is going to be very, very terrible if that happens. But obviously it didn't happen. These are world class players. They are not going to make such mistakes. So here after king to f8, rook to a8 was played, just going after the pawn. But now just comes king to e7, rook captures with a check, king moves forward, and now you're going to get the knight into the game, and your position is going to be absolutely amazing. Only after the rook moves, obviously. Here just rook to a6 check was played, but rook king to e7, and most likely, even if you just repeat now, it's going to be absolutely fine, because there is not much juice in the position that was like a few moves ago. But here just comes c3. Gukesh is still trying to press for a win, but just b captures, and now just b captures and rook to g3 check, and the trouble is king to d4 and just rook caps on h3, and knight to e3 immediately by Gukesh. And now just comes this very nice knight to c7, and now getting the knight into the game. But in this position here, knight to f5 check was played. Now that pawn is hit. There's not much ways you can protect it. You cannot come forward. So now just comes this king to e8, and king to e8 is a very nice move, because now it throws Gukesh off, because in this position he makes a little bit of an inaccuracy. He goes for rook to b6, but with this rook to b6, Divya can actually find the correct idea, and the correct idea is not at all an easy move to spot. If you think you're going to be able to spot the move, please be sure, be my guest here, pause the video and try to find out this absolutely amazing move where you can press for a win against the world chess champion. Have at it. So congratulations to everyone who's able to find this move, and the move is this spectacular move that Divya also missed. I mean, even if I was playing, I would have missed as well. All those amazing grandmasters there, might have missed this move as well, because when you're just looking in this position and feels like, this is going to be mostly a draw, you don't look for such moves. And it just suddenly it changes. Suddenly the evaluation changes. If you have an evaluation bar, it's very easy, but other than that, it's very, very difficult to go for anything in this position. And now the trouble is, the move is the spectacular g6, and g6 with the idea that now once knight to d6 check comes, now you just push the king forward, knight to e4, and now knight to e6 check. And once the king moves, now you start to push h5. You can see the structure. I can just remaneuver the king here. If any check comes, I don't have to worry about anything. I'm going to get the rook out of the way, push those pawns, and I'm going to be having a spectacular game. And once you see this, it just looks so simple. Just looks so simple once it's explained to you, but other than that, it's very, very complicated and insanely brutal. But here, after rook to b6, hey, knight to e6 check was played. I mean, this just seems like a natural move. I mean, this is that move is just so complicated. This just seems so natural, and that's why they played this. But still, she has the advantage in this position. Maybe she can try to press, but she goes for knight to f4. And now just comes this knight caps on g7 with a check, and king to d7. And the trouble is, you cannot have she did not blunder a pawn. Basically, the thing is that you cannot do anything in this position. Basically, it's a draw. She just forced a draw that was already in the position. And she was saying that I'm gonna be drawing against the world champion, and next I'm gonna be playing against the next opponent, because now in this position I don't think with the black pieces I can do much. And that's absolutely right, because here in this position, there is a very amazing line that you can just force a draw right on the spot, which is this, this pawn is under attack. You might want to be able to defend that. So if you push d4, now comes the tactical brilliance of Divya Deshmukh. I told you, she's a tactical hawk. Basically, she sees all of this in 7 minutes. 7 minutes, that's all it took her to analyze all of this. This is crazy. Here just rook captures on c3 and king captures. This comes this very nice knight to d5, and here after king to c4, knight captures, and it's just completely drawn. King to c5, king to c7 defending the knight, but just comes d5 and knight captures, king captures. This is basically a draw. Only person who's pushing is basically me, but still it's gonna be, it's gonna be basically a draw. But after this king to d7, rook to b5 was played. Lokesh is still trying to say that, well, if it's a draw, well, just show it to me. Where is the draw? It just rook caps on d3 now, just grabbing that pawn, but just rook to f5, just going for this. And also this is threatened, so you have to be careful. Rook to g3 now, going after the white's knight, but now just comes this rook caps on f7 with a check. King to d8, knight to f5 now, going after this amazing rook. And what do you even do in this position, because your pawn is also hanging? You wouldn't want to go for a move like that. So in this position, Divya, again the tactical hawk, finds this brilliant idea, knight to g6. I mean, this is just so beautiful. Here, just if you go for this knight captures, then just knight captures, and after this king to d5, knight captures. Basically it's a draw, so nothing you can do in this. So after knight to g6, Kokesh still trying to push for a win, or try to push for a win in this position, goes for rook to a7. Here just knight to e5 check, king to d5. And in this position, most likely, any other player, what they would do is just get the knight out of the way and try to maybe just push this pawn and try to do something in this position. But Divya is like, I've had enough of this world champion trying to just push everything in even this position to a win. So here, just have my knight, let me have my draw. Here just rook captures on c3, and yeah, now this is basically a draw. You've lost the only pawn, and now king captures, but against rook and a knight, a rook, it's a draw. This is going to be a painful one, but it's still a draw. A rook to c7 was played, just rook to a6, rook to c1. Basically, the thing is that you might be wondering, why is Gukesh still playing if it's a theoretical draw? The trouble is, it is a draw. Theoretically, it is a draw, but players have blundered in the past in blitz games and rapid games. Even with it blundered with the rook and a bishop against a rook against Magnus Carlsen, and Magnus was able to win the game. But it was not classical game, it was a rapid game. So this is not a rapid game. In classical, these blunders never happen. But the thing is that Gukesh is basically saying, well, it may be a draw, but you are the one who has to prove it. And Divya is like, fine by me, this is like my breakfast here. Just rook to even check was played. King to d6, all you want to do is just pin the knight and maybe just give checks to as many checks to the king as possible. King to e8, knight to f3, and this is going to be the boring part. If you want to skip it, you can just skip it. I'm showing you this. Hey, just king to e6, king to d8, and just a few more moves later, you can see that this is most likely you're going to be seeing the same position over and over again in different parts. Here, just rook to 8 check, king to c7, rook to a7, king to d8. Now just knight to f7 check, king to c8, knight to e5, rook to d1, king to e6, h5. And the point is that you want white to be able to capture this, because now then the 50 moves begin. And yeah, that's what Gukesh is not doing, and that's the troublesome part. Here, just h4, knight to c4 check, rook to e1, so king to d5. So Divya is like, basically, I'm just going to be pushing it all the way. If you're not going to capture it, well, I may as well push it. So here, rook to d1 check, king to c6, king to d1, knight to e3, king to rook to g1, knight to c4, and rook to c1. So here just basically doing the same thing, that you want to be able to just check the king and not get mated in the process, or not get into any sort of forks. You have to be careful about that as well. King to c7, rook to c3, and all of this just basically trying to just get out of the checks, and it goes on for a long time. The move that she wanted to reach here was 131st move to be able to get a draw. She already did this against Murli Karthikeyan, where there was a rook and a rook and a bishop. So she can very easily do this as well. So a lot of moves were played. I'm just going to be fast forwarding through all of them. And yeah, in this position here, after move number 103, that both players actually agreed to a draw, because they've been playing for 7 hours, and this is the excruciating plane of being a chess player. All I can say is basically, I mean, I have no words for the way that Divya has been playing. This is just absolutely mind blowing, the way she's been playing, holding the world champion to a draw. It's not just the title that makes it so amazing. The fact that this guy won the candidate, won the Olympiad for his country, and won the World Chess Championship. On top of that, this guy actually has a 2700 rating, and Divya has 2500 rated. This is absolute one of the best feelings in the world. I mean, still you have to go to 103 moves to be able to do this, but getting a win, I mean, would have been spectacular, and she would have made history with that. And she had the chance to push as well, but she was not able to find this move. But still, getting a draw to the world champion is, I mean, one of the best feelings as well, especially when you are actually taking a huge risk by playing in the open section. You're playing like you did Polgar. You're going by her ideas, not just her ideas basically, but her road path that that she created for all the young girls who wanted to be the best in the world. And that's the path that Divya is taking. I mean, just I am just dumbfounded. I'm at a loss for words, and all I can say is this is phenomenal class, and like really hats off to Divya Deshmukh. I mean, this genius pushing every game to a win here. Every game trying and crushing your opponent and trying to go for a win, even if it's a drawn position. That's what shows what mindset and mentality that this girl has. It's absolutely insane the way she plays, and she has not reached to the top in like 1 or 2 days. She has worked for it her entire life, and now playing in the open section, playing in a tournament which has an average rating of 2600. Can you imagine how spectacular that is? Age of 19 and having 35 plus medals for your country in the sports that you're playing is absolutely magnificent. And not only that, I think she has already qualified for the candidates. I mean, if she is able to get to win the candidates and be able to challenge the world chess champion, that would be absolutely spectacular. India is really looking for a I mean, women's champion, and I think India has just might found a really spectacular champion that, I mean, in a few years she's going to be absolutely crushing it. When I was watching the stream on Chessbase India, even Sagar and Amrita was saying that we are really proud of this girl. I mean, the way she has been playing, it's just on another level, absolutely on another level, and she has proven herself time and time again. And yeah, this girl is just really something else. And I think not just Sagar and Amrita, we as Indians, we are all absolutely proud of her, playing spectacular chess, and now even holding the world chess champion to a draw. I mean, just shows how much she has grown, shows how much she has worked hard for on her chess. And I hope she carries it forward. She carries this mindset of pushing just every game to a win, just trying to get that win, and pushing this for in the candidates as well in the World Chess Championship. Hopefully, she becomes the youngest women's champion as well. And it's going to be absolutely incredible if she does. And in an interview, she said that she might be able to just go and study afterwards in a college in US or something. That's going to be absolutely spectacular if she's able to fulfill that after becoming the world champion like who he funded. That's going to be amazing. And on top of this, I just wanted to show some stats as well that I'll be sharing it with you. For all the people who just here for shares, you can just you can go if you want to, but I will be sharing it. It's absolutely important to see how really a champion is born. It's not born in a day. Hey, 2025 here, Title C Challenges was played, and she absolutely was not playing up to her bar, up to her potential. She lost 20 rated points, lost 8 games in Tata C Challenges that was held in Vaikanse, and in Prague Masters again she lost so many games. She lost I think 4 or 5 games and lost 6 rating points. I mean, but still, even the interview I watched of her on Chess Base India, and she was absolutely crushed, but she got back up, she pushed herself, she took learnings from it, positives from it, and still kept on going. That's what shows phenomenal class, and these are the kind of people that become world chess champion. And even afterwards, now once you see this report card that's right in front of it here for you, getting plus 20 points in a tournament whose average rating is 2600, I don't care what the next 3 rounds will bring. I don't know what the next 3 rounds will bring. Only Divya Deshmukh could tell us. But the thing is that she played this even now, beating two super grandmasters and holding the world chess champion to a draw is absolutely spectacular. Guys, this is history in the making. This is Divya Deshmukh. I mean, just here, this is a world chess championship in the making. I'm telling you here right now. So yeah, thank you all for watching. I'll be coming back with games like these, so stay tuned to the channel, stay updated, and I'll be seeing you guys very, very soon. Thank you very, very much for watching, for all of you who are there till now.